everyone, and welcome to another edition of the Mr. Warren Hayes Show. I, of course, am Mr. Warren Hayes, and we're doing this at a special moment, special time, special place on a Saturday. So that typically means that, it's not the usual just 2 hours of Warren getting mad at, insignificant stuff. No, we're going to have maybe an hour and a half of Warren and Queen of NE getting mad at insignificant stuff. Well, we're not going to get mad. We're not going to. There's just good stuff to talk about here. Because look at who I have. That's the point. This is the thing. I have a guest with me today. One of the homies, one of the OGs who's back at it. And I'm so glad that she still likes me. The Queen of NE is joining us today. Queenie, how are you?
Warren, I'm so good. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. I'm doing fantastic. I'm doubly happy that you're here. Because look, here's the thing, right? We do have history together. Because we pretty much started doing this at the podcasting at the same time. Yeah, around 2019-ish, and we all sort of congregated, same friends and so on and so forth. So we do have a history. And you took a break for a while because you had such wonderful life developments happen. And now you're back. So that's exciting. Like, straight off the bat, did you continue watching wrestling while you were taking care of the little one? You kept up to date? Yeah.
Honestly, yes, because as most people who've had children know, or around children know, those late night feedings are no joke.
That's true.
So when you're up at 2-3 a.m. and you need to stay awake to take care of this human, you need to watch some things. So actually, I was able to keep up fairly well, which was surprising. But it was just because, I was up all night.
Exactly. So you were able to keep up and catch up with those late night feedings.
Oh God.
Something else. But yes, I'm really glad that you're here. I really, really am. Thank you very much.
I'm so glad because you asked me to be here. And
yes, I did.
Like such a treat. I'm so happy.
No,
it is.
I'm glad. Look, it had been a while. It's a good moment to catch up. We were catching up a little bit before getting started here, so it'll all be good, And Queen's super chill, and we're gonna, it's a fantastic guest to talk about AEW Full Gear, which is going to be happening in a week from now, quite exactly, and from the moment that we're recording this. But I think the card is pretty much all fleshed out. We're going to get to it. I also want to take a minute to say hello to the people who are joining us live, because yes, we are recording this live on youtube.com/MrWarrenHayes. I record pretty much everything straight up live here. So if you ever want to come and join us, if you're listening to this on demand, that's fantastic. Thank you very much. But if you want to join us live, like Flowman or Carlos or Zach Barber, hey, please feel free to do so. Subscribe. That way you'll never miss a thing. Pete Davies as well. See, hello everyone and welcome. Got all these people hanging out, and that's fantastic. And if you don't want to miss out on all the live stuff, subscribe. It's good. It's good things with good people. And Full Gear is the pay-per-view that we are going to be talking about today. Queen, look, this is the last pay-per-view we got from AEW was All Out. And there was a lot of stuff happening around All Out, where the CM Punk stuff was pretty much on everyone's mind. And you're sort of like, okay, well, things are going to get a little more quiet. No, we get Bryan Danielson, who pops into the mix. Hangman Page comes back. Adam Cole arrives. You get Ruby Soho joining the women's division. Last few months of AEW, Queenie, they've been fun as hell, haven't they?
Oh my God. It's so funny because when you said, hey, let's talk about Full Gear, I'm like, wait, I'm sorry. We're already at another pay-per-view? What happened? Because it's just been so action-packed for these past few months that I've hardly felt time pass in that world. It's just been like one thing after the other, and it's been just so much fun. Wrestling's fun again in a lot of ways because of this.
I think the key word here is fun, because that's what it's supposed to be. You're not supposed to like sit around and just be miserable. Like, and that goes for any level of entertainment, right? That goes for anything, you know, even if you watch, like you're watching, I don't know, Hereditary, you know, the horror movie, you're still supposed to enjoy it on some level, you know, because if you're not, don't watch it, you know? So, so it has been exciting. It has been, just like, you know, from the Forbidden Door stuff that started this summer right up to here with all these mind-blowing signings, you know. Were you concerned, I'm going to ask you this, were you concerned that the big signings like CM Punk, like Danielson, like Adam Cole, were you concerned that they were going to maybe overshadow the talent that AEW had at, you know, homegrown, I guess, to a certain degree, by bringing in these large, especially in the case of Punk and Danielson, like these larger than life wrestlers? Do you feel that they were going to sort of cast a too large a shadow, maybe?
Well,
sip.
And let me sip my tea real quick. No, actually. And the reason I say that is because I had faith.
Okay.
I had faith that they would do it the right way. I don't think they'd bring in all these people just to cast what they've done aside in terms of their homegrown talent. And I think they've actually used CM Punk in particular quite well to do that, and working with people who aren't other WWE X talent. You know?
Sure.
Or I should say ex WWE talent. I think if they had gone a different way, right, and kind of put them together right off the bat, then I could have been a little more concerned. But I think they've actually done a really good job of weaving these people into storylines with homegrown talent that makes sense. It made sense for Adam Cole to return with the Young Bucks and become the Super Clique. It made sense for Daniel Bryan just to beat up everybody and be like unbelievably, I mean, we already know
violent,
unbelievably talented, but like unbelievably violent in a way that you're like, oh my God, because it just was the diametric opposite of what we're used to, given where he was before. Like, he has a lot more freedom now. And Punk is Punk, and he's been doing great stuff, and I've really, really enjoyed it.
I've enjoyed it too. I think, and I think you hit the nail pretty much on the head. The idea that they're the idea that they're oh, did we lose Queen? We lost Queen. She'll be back, I'm sure. She'll pop back in. Oh, there she is.
What happened?
I'm not sure. But look,
the CM Punk gods
look,
get mad at me.
Clearly,
good.
Clearly, there's someone out there who doesn't want us to talk about this.
That's so mean.
But no, but I think you hit it pretty much on the head when you said that. You know, I think they successfully were able to weave these outsiders into the fabric of AEW. If you so let me use, you know, weaving analogies, which I know nothing about. You know.
Basket weaving.
I like not even like I've never weaved a thing in my life. Never, you know, no knitting.
No knitting?
No, never? I don't knit. No, I've tried crocheting once many years ago. The couples thing with an ex. She was into crocheting. Yeah. And I just couldn't do it.
It's hard. It's not easy.
No, because there's a certain level of finesse, you know, and dexterity that you need. And for some reason, because she was like, look, you play video games. You should be able to do this, right? Like, you play, like, first-person shooters. And
it takes a lot of coordination. Yeah. But no. Yeah, it's all right. But you can use the analogy, though. It's okay.
Okay, thank you. I don't want to come across as, you know, I'm not appropriating, you know, I want to feel like I'm appropriating textile specialists.
No,
whatever.
I think you're good.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
But look, the shows have been exciting. It's been really fresh, been some great stuff. And, you know, we've lived through a full couple of months now of AEW Rampage, right?
Yeah.
Because it started in August, just a couple of weeks before All Out. Now it's become part of the routine. We're into it, right?
Yeah, we are.
What are your thoughts on Rampage so far? Is it the B show that everyone thought it'd be?
I don't even know that I would call it even the B show. I think it's an easy watch. It's 1 hour. It's so nice because you get really great quality wrestling, a couple of promos here and there, like we just saw. Holy crap! And
we might talk about that. We might.
We probably will. But it's enjoyable that way. It's fast paced, hard hitting. It gives me exactly what I'm looking for. When you are watching multiple hour shows, sometimes that gets a little much when you watch a lot during the week.
Yes.
But that 1 hour, I feel like they've really hit the nail on the head with the pacing, the amount of matches they put in, a couple different segments for talking, either backstage or in the ring, and it just works really, really well. I've been enjoying it a lot. The only thing that's kind of a bummer is it is on a Friday. It is at 10 p.m. Eastern. So I normally have to catch it the next day, or I catch like the first part, but not the rest.
Gotcha.
That's the only thing I really can knock about it, though. I've been enjoying it. What do you think?
Well, thank you for asking. I am of the belief that this is the easiest wrestling watch in anything that's being broadcast on television right now. Like you said, it's just an hour, and it's just no nonsense, right? Because there's no time for nonsense.
That's right.
There's just no time for it. Plus, on top of it, they've maintained this. The thing that I like the best about Dynamite, right, is that it starts with a hot match. It's bookended with hot matches, typically speaking. That's what they,
for the most part.
Hot match to start, hot main event, and they kept that formula. They kept that. They kept that exact formula for Rampage, and you start, you get excited, sucks you in. You get whatever happens in the middle. Sometimes it's very good. Sometimes it, whatever. Sometimes a little more hit or miss, but most of the time, not misses. Let's put it that way. And then a great main event, and then you're like, damn, the show's over. And this is what I think is something that maybe another company should try to learn a little more, is like, leave the people wanting more of your product.
Yes.
Just because you finish Rampage and you're like, I can't wait for Dynamite now. I just want, I want more of it.
It's just like that extra, we get like an ice cream sundae. I just want a little topping today. I'm just feeling, beyond my whipped cream.
Okay.
Maybe I want some colored Jimmies.
Sure.
Maybe I want some Heath Bar Crunch, And it makes it taste good, but then when you're over, you're like, oh, man. But you know what? Next week, I'm going to get it again.
I'll get it again.
It tastes good.
Exactly. Look at us with our analogies today.
Look at us.
Want to say hello to Hothead567. Good to see you. It has been a while. Nice to see you. And hang on, let me try to read. I can't read the username. Big Pa Wasna Poop.
Who's that?
I don't know. Big paws on a pup. Oh,
big
weird.
paws on a puppy. That's kind of odd.
I mean, that usually means that your puppies will grow up to be really big dogs. That's what it usually is.
That's usually what that means. Isn't it like kids with bigger heads, right? That grow into their bodies, grow into their head or something.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
What an odd gentleman.
Hi, JPQ.
Hi, JPQ. Welcome, JPQ. Welcome, JPQ, to the chat. Let's get to it. Let's start talking about it.
Yeah, let's talk.
Now, the only thing that hasn't been announced so far, and like I said, like the card will probably, I'm trying to say too many things at once. There hasn't been, hasn't been a pre-show announced yet, which is
true. Par
for the course. We'll usually, probably this week we'll get it. But right now the card stands at 8 matches. Feels like I think Queen and we feel secure in coming and giving our predictions.
Yes.
I don't think they'll be adding any more main card matches. I think Yeah, I think an 8 match card is good and is par for the course for what they usually do as well. But let's get to it.
Okay.
We'll go in reverse order as how they're presented on Wikipedia, on the Wikipedia page.
Oh yeah.
Just so you know, I'm not making this up. First of all, we're going to talk about the Super Click, Adam Cole and the Jacksons. Look at her go.
Mm-hmm.
Taking on, someone, Dino 210.
That's fantastic.
And I saw that. Some dude said that to me on Twitter last night, and I lost it. I thought it was great. Dino 210 and Christian Cage. In a Falls Count Anywhere 6-man tag team match. One of the really cool things that I really like about the 6-man tag team matches in AEW is that they're chaotic. And there's always stuff happening. Now we're going to go Falls Count Anywhere and so on and so forth. I don't know about you, but that's all I need to know.
That's all I need to know. Don't care what else happens because it's going to be great.
How do you feel about Adam Cole getting back with this, getting back in the Elite? And how do you feel about it? Tell me about it.
It's like, I love to give him a call because I'd like to know how he came back from the dead.
Mm-hmm.
I need to know. Like, you drank the poison. So, like, how did you resurrect yourself?
Right.
Is this like a Voldemort situation? Are we like taking pieces of our souls, or like what are we doing?
Didn't they, like, I'll be honest, I've been out of the loop on the BTE
Me too.
stuff.
I'm sure they explained it.
I think it's been worked through on BTE, but I as well was like, when people were like Adam Cole to AEW, and I'm like, why are you? He's dead. Why?
He's dead.
I didn't quite get it. But it does feel, it feels like they didn't miss a step, right?
Not at all, Warren.
It just feels really natural. It's like we're back in Ring of Honor.
It's like nothing happened.
Right.
Like, oh hey, it's like when you get back with your friends after not seeing each other for a really long time, and it's like no time's passed, your relationship is that solid, and you just have a really good time. It's so nice to see that.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
And he's killing it. They're killing it. I've loved the heel-ness of that whole elite, super elite, now super click vibe for a while. I just think they're so ridiculous, and it works so well for them.
Floman in the chat points out that, and now I remember, Kenny did do a seance on BTE.
That was it. There was a seance.
Yes.
Yes.
And I think what did Adam Cole say? I can't remember what he said when he came back, because I saw that clip and he said my mouth tastes like Monster Energy drink or something like that.
Monster Energy drinks. Yes.
Something like that.
That's right.
So that was pretty that was pretty fun. Do you feel like Adam Cole is in the right spot right now? Former NXT champion. Is it too goofy for your taste? What's going on with all this budge thing on top of it? Is it too much nonsense? I
think everyone needs to chill out. AEW has a lot of moving parts right now. They have a lot of people in various different spots, and I think Adam Cole has slid back exactly where he needs to be right now. I think in the future, next year, things will be a little bit different for him, and maybe in a more prominent spot. And I don't really think he has to be in a prominent spot to be positively contributing to the progression of storylines. He's where he needs to be, and I don't really think it's too goofy, and I don't really understand why all of the stans of Adam Cole are like losing it. I think it's actually great for him. I don't know. He did everything that he needed to do and then some in NXT.
Mm-hmm.
This is a same but different Adam Cole, and I don't hate it.
I would say it's a different Adam Cole than what we knew in NXT, because he, if you're familiar with the work of Adam Cole in the past, you will know that he is no stranger to being weird and doing comedy bits, and in fact, there's something more familiar about this.
Right. That's why I'm saying it's different, but it's also not if you know his previous work.
What about our boy Jungle Boy here? By the way, chat, let us know who you think is going to win. Who do you pick? The Super Click or Dino 210, which is legitimately
petition to change their name to Dino 210. That's fantastic.
I'm legitimately calling them that from now.
For the end of time, I want a t-shirt that says Dino 210.
And Christian Cage is in there as well. But our boy Jungle Boy, he's he's one of these aforementioned pillars, correct?
Yes.
And but not exactly been on the hottest winning streak since since the beginning of his career. What do you think is the formula here for Jungle Boy? Like right now, because he's still over as crazy, right?
Despite he's still over. He's been over since the minute he walked through the door, and God bless for him. That's great. And I have times where I wish that they were tag team champions, but then we wouldn't have had some of the storylines we have now. So like I get it in that way also, but I'm ready for Jungle Boy to kind of. I don't want him to leave Dino 2-0, but I would love for him to have a little bit more prominence, and I'm hoping 2022 is that opportunity for him to step into that role as I see other people maybe stepping a little higher or to the side. I think there may be a nice lane for him, and what a story. You know, it's hard to have such great babyface work these days because all the heels are getting booed, you know? So it's hard to have that genuine love, straight babyface run, and I feel like he could be the one that would go that way.
I think, and I'm completely in agreement with you. I think it's a testament to how strong the mid card of AEW is. Because if you have look, the spot 2 weeks ago was him being hurdled off a stage, right? Through tables on the floor. That usually, like in how we've been conditioned, this is a spot that you use for your main event matches, right? This is this is the you know, the upper crust that does this. But no, this is a mid-card act. This is all, and you know, right now on the Wikipedia page it's the opening match. I don't know if that will be it, but you know, it's like
that's high energy. That would make sense.
I mean, it's your curtain jerker here, and you're getting the big spots, these big things. I don't think AEW gets enough credit for the strength of their mid card, because I think that really does carry a show like Dynamite, get us excited when we see on Rampage, you know, Bunny versus Red Velvet, who are not main eventers, and absolutely not. They're not, you know, they're in the they're in the preliminary section of the women's division, but you see them go and you're like, yeah, cool. I'm looking forward to seeing this match. Because they're maintaining their mid card as something important, you know?
Yes.
And
which
I think go ahead.
Different than what we're used to, right? Don't you think?
Very, very different. Very, very different. And I think that's one of the reasons why Jungle Boy remains over. Do you subscribe to the theory that Jungle Boy will become a serious contender once he becomes Jack Perry and drops the loincloth and the...
Oh, when he leaves Jungle Boy behind and embraces the name?
Yeah. Because there's that theory going around, right? And I'll admit that I kind of subscribe to it. I think that the moment where he becomes Jungle Boy Jack Perry, as opposed to just Jungle Boy with the loincloth and all that, you know, I think that probably at that point that will be his launching point.
I think it'll be the step that his character evolution requires.
Sure.
It seems natural to progress to that point. Jungle Boy is, I don't know, I don't want to say version 1 because that makes it sound like it's lower.
Sure.
It's not. But it's first step forward.
Yeah.
And I think once he takes that on, though I wish Jim Ross would stop calling him that until it was time. That would make me feel better, just character-wise. You know, same Jungle Boy. Leave him alone. When he's ready to adopt the Jack Perry, then he will. You know, it's annoying.
JR and his snide editorialisms.
God, stop it.
You know he loves Wardlow. He loses his mind when Wardlow's there. He loves Wardlow. Doesn't have a bad thing to say. Anyway, the chat seems to think that Dino 210 are going to win. That's the you know, overall feeling. What do you think? Who is going to come out on top here?
You know, it's an interesting one for me because I've been thinking really hard about the main event championship match and how that's going to go.
Oh,
and I could see so many different avenues.
Okay.
But if I think it's gonna go the way, or if it's gonna go the way I think it's gonna go, then I think Dino 210 plus Christian Cage is gonna win.
Yeah.
It would make sense for the whole elite to just bite it.
And I also think that, Jungle Boy has been eating so much shit.
Yes, it's time.
In the lead up to this.
Exactly.
And I wouldn't even be surprised if it was Jungle Boy who got Adam Cole into.
Oh, I would love that.
Into the snare trap is what he calls it, or whatever.
Yes.
Yeah, I think it'll work. I'm excited to see what Nick Jackson is going to throw himself off of.
Oh yeah.
It's going to be a fun one, that's for sure. But I agree. I think Dino 210 is going to...
210 and Christian.
And Christian Cage is going to are going to pull this off. I agree. I want to say hello to Joe Poulin Jr., who is with us. And shout out to Senior as well for giving us Junior. Let's go right ahead. CM Punk versus Eddie Kingston. I don't know if you heard, the match was signed last night. They did it very under the radar.
Yeah, it was really low key.
Didn't make a big deal out of it. Next thing you know, on social media, they're announcing it.
Surprise!
Tell me about the promo.
Warren, can we talk about that? Because was it me, or was that real?
Little work shoot, I'd say. A little work shoot.
We're just dropping some things in here, and I'm like, okay. Then I'm like, I'm gonna roll up my sleeves now. Now I'm gonna really pay attention because I feel like there was some real juicy stuff in there. My man came out the back, ready for blood. And CM Punk gave it right back as CM Punk normally does. But Eddie was so fired up. The things that he said, I was just like, I would die for the story. Let's have a couple beers, sit down, tell me everything.
Dish.
I gotta know.
Yep.
Because there's something happening. Well, something happened and it's brewing now, and it makes me think about when he's like, none of us wanted you here, no one in the back wanted you here, and it makes me think about all the beef that Punk has had in the industry throughout the years.
Sure.
And I'm like, I don't know if that's everybody, but it's certainly somebody.
Yeah.
So it was great. It was heated. It got you amped into this match in seconds. Two of the best they have on the mic easily. Those two.
Isn't this how you buy, this is how you sell a ticket to a pay-per-view?
Easily. And
it's a lost art that people have forgotten, but Eddie Kingston remembers. Eddie Kingston knows. Look, I don't know if you remember. You remember back in April.
Okay.
Moxley was supposed to fight Lance Archer in a no DQ match. I don't know if you recall this. And Archer got COVID.
Oh, yes.
It was announced the day before.
Yes.
And they didn't announce the replacement or anything, right? Just or I think they did announce the replacement, but it was all super short term notice. First match of Dynamite happens. Eddie Kingston, immediately after the match runs out, cuts an amazing promo to sell you on the main event. And I remember talking about it on the show. I was like, look, the match had zero build because they were building for Archer. Match has zero build. The guy comes out. He says everything that needs to be said to get you amped up for the main event. I'm like, perfect. You sold. I'm sold. Let's make this match happen.
Did it again.
And he does it again. The man is brilliant at what he does. He understands it. I would agree that there is some history.
Just a little bit.
Because they did come up in the same circles and at the same time. And this was Eddie's reputation of being, you don't put in the work. You're a little lazy. You don't put in the work. Yep. Bryan Danielson pulled it out a couple of weeks ago in the lead up to their match. It's like, I just wish you worked harder, Eddie, that you want, and that has been the story of Eddie Kingston's wrestling career. People telling him, you don't want it enough. You don't look the part. You don't look like a wrestler, all that stuff. So, I'm convinced, they were all in the same circles. I'm convinced that guys like Punk and Amazing Red and so on and so forth, surely sort of poo-pooed him, and he was like, and he had to work twice as hard to, I'm sure. And if this is, Phil's redemption arc to a certain degree, I can get behind these types of promos, because of course he's got beef with CM Punk is, I hate the label difficult to work with, because I think everyone is difficult to work with to a degree because of the nature of the business. I don't think anyone is just like, sure, not a problem. It's like,
no.
And it's so subjective at the same time. I think there is some truth to CM Punk being, a little, having a bit of an ego. But you'd be remiss to believe that Eddie Kingston does, you can't believe that Eddie Kingston doesn't have an ego himself.
Oh, yeah.
Especially after the promo he cut last night.
Oh, my God, yeah.
So anyway, look. It was absolutely fantastic and riveting. And look, and here's the other thing. In an environment in the past decades where all we got was insincere, over-scripted, overwrought promos that actually forget the basic of what a promo is. Promo is short for promotion, by the way. Forget the basics of it. You get any kind of sincerity these days. Something that makes you feel like what is being said is coming from the heart, and people latch onto it. And we're talking about Eddie, but I'm going to throw in Big E. I'm going to throw in Xavier Woods into this pile as well, right? These guys, Kevin Owens, these guys cut their promos. They're, probably the writers come and give them the bullet points, and they're like, okay, whatever. And then they
do their thing.
Okay, sure. And then they do their thing, kind of. So that's the thing, right? It's like, it's the kind of situation where when we see something so real and visceral like that, it draws us in more, because we're not used to seeing that anymore.
No. And it's so nice. And that's something I feel that AEW has done very well since the get-go. I could think of so many matches and so many promos and things that they've done to sell me on buying their show, on wanting to be there, on wanting to watch on Wednesday nights, even going all the way back to Cody versus Dustin.
Yeah.
I mean, the beautiful story that they sold. I mean, it's just,
Cody was amazing.
They know how to do it. And it works to their strengths. And that promo last night was just like, if I wasn't buying the pay-per-view, I would be now.
Yeah.
It was that good.
It really was that fantastic. It was an absolute gem of a promo. Yeah, and someone said it before, and I like to repeat it because I think it's true. Eddie Kingston, I feel, is the modern day Dusty Rhodes. A guy who's of a contemporary of his time, going through struggles that people super relate to.
Yep, very relatable.
And is just a machine in making you feel stuff when he talks,
Oh yeah.
That's unique. Chad, I want you to let us know, me and Queenie, who you think is going to win here. Eddie Kingston, CM Punk. Queen, does Eddie end the streak here?
Nah, I don't think he does.
I don't think so.
No offense to Eddie. No offense.
Yeah,
no
I don't
offense.
think so either.
I just don't think this is the one to dethrone the streak of CM Punk. I'm not sure who is yet.
It's hard to say.
But it's hard to say.
It's hard to say
who he's going to go with next, because he's been working with, the homegrown, if you will. So I'm looking forward to that, but I don't know.
Let's say
don't think.
At this time, at this period, with everything that and that we've seen so far, like you said, you have some thoughts. Who do you think will be the guy to beat CM Punk?
Oh, man. On his redemption arc, babyface? I mean, doesn't it have to be MJF? I don't know.
I think it has to be, right?
I think it has to be MJF. I think it has to be, because they are going to destroy each other. And only one can come out victorious, and I don't know that it'll be Punk.
And it has to be MJF.
It has to be MJF.
MJF has to beat all the top guys. He really does.
He has to. Yeah. In order for his projection, arc.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Chad seems to agree as well. Punk. I think. However, I half expect this match to end in a handshake, a hug, a respect thing.
Oh yeah, I think so.
I think that
I can see that.
I think that they'll like give themselves a handshake and a hug, as opposed to. But then again, like Eddie didn't take Danielson's handshake either.
No.
So.
Well, maybe Punk will kind of tap him on the head on the way out.
Oh, that'll go over well. Yeah, start the match over, right?
Yeah.
Next, we're gonna have Darby Allin taking on MJF here. Look, two of the young stars of AEW, super over talent, both of them. See, this is what I've been talking about, the mid card, man.
It's so good.
They're not even fighting for titles. They're just like they just want to fight each other, and people are stoked about it. Tell me about this. How did you feel about the build to this match?
I thought it was good. It was solid. MJF does what MJF does.
Mm-hmm.
He goes for the jugular, and then while that person's still bleeding, does some more. So that's the MO. So it's not different. What I'm most interested in beyond the actual fight itself is actually the whole Wardlow thing.
Right.
I've been loving that mixed in with this story as well. So that's been kind of fun.
The little details,
just little details.
Wardlow clearly not being in on the Sting, the Sting thing that they did. He's sort of like, oh, you guys knew, kind of thing.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I was ready to fight. You guys knew. All right, thanks for keeping me in the loop.
That's been interesting.
Yes.
And I'm not trying to take away from Darby MJF. It's just I find that very compelling because I feel like we've been waiting a really long time for that.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm ready for this match to happen. I will say that.
Yeah.
I feel like if I had to wait any more weeks of the same type of talk between them two, it would be a little much for me. Yeah. It's gotten to its natural conclusion, and I'm glad.
Yes.
Because now I think we're going to cap that off nicely at Full Gear, and we're going to be done, and then we can move on to other things, which I think they both should.
I agree. I think that as interesting this match is going to be, I think I'm completely with you.
Mm-hmm.
We were at the time. I think that its presence in our time and space environment has
run its course.
Yeah, it's run its course. I think we're good. Like,
we're good.
If we had been 2 more weeks of this, maybe we'd be like,
okay.
Because there's been I like myself a good promo. I like myself, some, especially when it comes from a guy like MJF. But there's a time where, okay, well, this is enough promos. We've talked enough. Let's move on, please, kind of thing.
Let's move on. Yeah.
And I kind of think this is where we're at right here. Darby might throw himself off of stuff too. Right?
Well, likely. He's going to do some cough and drop off something.
I'm
don't know what it's going to be. But
I'm excited about that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Who do you got, though? This is an interesting, and chat, let us know, too, who you think is going to win, Darby or MJF.
Warren, I don't know.
It's a toss-up, this one, isn't it?
It's a toss-up for me, so I was very curious as to what you were thinking, because I've had a tough time thinking about this one. Because I'm also, again, a lot of this stuff that happens is tied to the main event for me.
Okay.
Like, who goes where? And it's been difficult to think about this one. Because in this match, too, I feel like whoever loses, it doesn't really matter. And I don't want to say like they're going to put in all this effort and it doesn't matter. But Darby's going to be over regardless of what happens with Darby, and MJF's MJF.
Mm-hmm.
So what are the stakes in that way? It's, for me, where are they moving after?
Sure.
That's the stakes.
Yes.
So I'm having a serious debate, and I don't know who to pick, Warren.
I didn't know where to go either. And, so and myself, I'm thinking back, I'm going like, okay, well, at All Out, MJF did lose to Jericho, but Darby lost to CM Punk. So I'm like, shit, okay, so they're really on even footing.
Mm-hmm.
But here's what I'm thinking, if we want to project a little bit.
Let's do it.
If I think that if the main event goes like I'm pretty sure you and I
yes.
think is going to go, then you need to really position MJF as the big time heel. Because, even if it's not the future champion's next defense, you still have to continue making MJF who he is.
Right.
I think everyone's already forgotten the fact that he lost against Jericho at All Out, because ultimately MJF has owned Jericho throughout their entire feud. So that's what we need.
That was the one time.
It's like
exactly.
Jericho's like, I gotta beat you once.
You beat me
MJF's like, I beat you 3
whatever.
times. Who cares? It's like,
Mm-hmm.
So the idea of MJF winning here would make a lot of sense to me. I think it'd make a lot of sense. And Darby is essentially bulletproof.
Yeah.
They could do, and I'm not asking them to start, putting him on a losing streak or whatever.
No.
But they could do anything with Darby and he'd be fine. He'd be absolutely fine.
Now, can I ask a follow-up question?
Well, of course.
Because I want to think this through a little bit. So, I don't want to jump ahead, but Bryan Danielson's match versus Miro, right?
Mm-hmm.
The winner gets the title shot?
The winner gets the title shot, yes.
Okay. So that's interesting to me, too.
That is very interesting. Yes, it is.
Because if that goes the way I think it's going to go, that'll be weird. So how will they play that story?
I don't think it'll be that weird, but we'll talk about it in a little while. I think.
I don't know.
But look, I'm kind of gonna go with MJF here. I think.
Yeah, I think that's the right move.
I think so too.
Yeah.
We got Carlos in the chat who thinks it's Darby. Yeah.
I mean, it could be.
If the thing that sucks here, if we're being honest with each other, is that Tony Khan didn't call us to give us his booking plans. All right.
Honestly, why do I have no voicemail?
TK has my number. I mean, he sends me the checks every week. Everyone knows this by now.
Man,
I don't know. If we knew the plans, Tony, then we could properly predict what's going to happen.
True, but we can't. But you know what? That brings up a great point, Warren. That's what I liked in previous years about New Japan. You could look at a card and not be sure who's going to win and be okay.
Yes.
And that's how I feel about AEW. There are some matches here that I'm like, don't know. But either way, I think it's going to be a good story. So, I'm all right if I'm wrong. You know?
Absolutely. No, that's a super good point. You're absolutely right. Yep. Want to say hello to Diego Rafael Solis Rivera, who's joining us. Lucha Brothers taking on FTR for the AEW World Tag Team Championship. How do you feel about all of this so far with FTR and Lucha Bros and Los Superranas?
About time. I'm ready.
Yeah?
I've been ready. My soul's been ready for this. The 2 best in the world.
Oh, look at that.
I'm ready. It's great. I mean, the Young Bucks are great, but the Young Bucks are the Young Bucks, and they're busy doing other things, as they should be. They don't need to always be in the top.
Sure.
Working in the tag team, that area, anyway. And I think it's great that they're with Adam Cole and they're doing trios, and that's awesome. What I like is that we're finally in a position where some things are coming full circle. Cody got the receipt for what FTR stands for.
Mm-hmm.
That was fun.
Mm-hmm.
I'm interested in the Andrade angle as well.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's a fun addition. MJF's involvement, as well as Tully's, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
Very interesting. I'm excited for the story because it's going to be a hell of a tag team match. It's going to be tag team match for the books.
I'm really excited for it.
Yeah,
I really
it's gonna
am.
Be great.
I think it's great that I still think it's hilarious to this even if it's been weeks still, it still makes me laugh that the team that built itself on the line, no flips, just fists, is the AAA tag team champions. I think it's hilarious.
It is.
And now coming into this one here with, I mean, look, the great thing about the Lucha Bros is is that Phoenix does the crazy stuff,
Yes.
and not that Penta doesn't, but Penta can get down and dirty, right?
Yes, he can.
Penta can mess around, and I think that I think it's just an interesting clash of styles enough.
It is.
To be really fun. But on top of that, like you said, they're two absolutely amazing tag teams. Like two ridiculously amazing tag teams.
It's stupid money. It's that good.
It's just going, they're just going to come together and they're going to rock it. And
we have double tag team champions in FTR.
Oh, so there we go. Chat. Look at that. Champs for FTR is Queen's prediction. I want you guys to let me know who you think.
There needs to be an upset.
Really?
And this is it.
Okay.
I'm feeling it. I'm feeling that with the direction they're heading, particularly with the Pinnacle MJF vibe. If that's where we're going, I'm feeling pretty good about that.
Interesting.
Not that I want them to lose, but I don't think there's going to be many championship belts changing. But I think there would be 2.
I think that this is not it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I don't think that there's going to be a title change. I think we are on opposite ends of the spectrum here.
Whoa.
Because my instinct, and I have nothing to go on other than my gut, but I think my gut is that it's Santana and Ortiz who are destined to take the titles off the
Lucha Bros?
Off the Lucha Bros. I think that's, if they can stop with this fucking inner circle nonsense.
Well, see that, and that's why I'm thinking now's the time for that.
Okay.
Because they're tied up in this garbage.
Oh!
Tied up in this garbage
it's about
anymore.
to get spicy. But look, I think it's too soon.
I got you. I understand that.
And if you look at the booking patterns, AEW doesn't have a tendency to hotshot their titles.
Very true.
AAA wasn't there. It's not their title.
No.
So
they can do whatever they need to do with that. Yeah.
You know.
No, I understand. And it very well could be retained. It's another match where I feel like it definitely can go either way. I don't know why. My gut's saying FTR. I don't know why.
Interesting.
Just that's how I feel. I don't know.
Interesting. Mm-hmm. Well, we'll see what happens. But and you know what? I'll echo something else that you said. The whole Andrade hiring the Pinnacle to do shit. Yes. I think it's dope. I think
it's hilarious.
Like MJF is like, I don't care, man. If your money's good, you can use all my goons. I don't care. And I get behind that. Money's a motivator. Money should be a motivator. Money.
That's right. It's incentive.
These are professional fighters, right? That's what they do for a living. They go to the ring, they fight. If they win, they make more money. I don't know why it's so hard. People overthink wrestling booking sometimes. So hard.
Some things are just meant to be easy.
This
is one.
This is one right here, so I like it. Chat here saying, Lucha Bros. Yeah. Lucha Bros. I think it's going to be the Lucha Bros.
It probably will be, but I don't know why. I can't ignore the gut feeling, so.
That being said, I'm excited to see FTR go to Mexico to defend these titles.
Me too.
I'm really excited, and I hope they go as Las Superanas, because
I hope they do too.
That really made me laugh.
It was a great moment.
All right, well, let's talk about it. The Inner Circle
Ugh.
taking on the Men of the Year and American Top Team, which is going to be made up of Junior Dos Santos, Andrei Arlovsky, and Dan Lambert. There's a lot to unpack in all of this angle. But go right ahead, Queenie. Get what's on your mind.
What's on my mind?
How do you feel? Well, how do you like the whole American Top Team thing to begin with? Just like
I don't.
Oh, really? Okay. You just straight out don't like it?
I don't like it. I think there's a difference between Angry Man shaking his fist at the clouds and Cheap Heat and nasty stuff. And this is nasty to me.
Okay.
And it's not just them. I think Jericho has said some things that I just don't agree with. There's a lot of LGBTQ jokes that I don't really think are necessary.
A little
A lot of
passe.
yeah, very not. It's just not cool in my book. And I'm not saying that you can't say dirty things. I just don't think you should be terrible about it.
Not in a way to tear someone down.
Exactly.
Kind of
it's not an insult. You shouldn't use that as an insult, is I think what I'm trying to say. And then like, you know, the stuff with Paige last week really just, that was just like, it's in poor taste. Like, why the only female, and that's what you have to say? Like, she could legitimately whip your butt. And that's where you want to take it.
Yeah.
Why? It's just, it's silliness to me. It's cheap to me. And I don't care about the feud. I don't think any of the people on top team are going to be great in the ring. I don't think it's going to be a fun mixture of the styles. I don't like it. I don't like, it's been going on, I feel like, for months, even though I don't, has it? I have no idea. It's been months and months, I feel like. I'm over it. I'm over Jericho, and I'm over this inner circle. It's time for them to be done. I need Sammy to do his own thing with the TNT title, go off on his own, and I need specifically my boys, Santana and Ortiz, out. I need them out.
Doing their own thing too.
Yeah, they just need to. They're. I don't want to say they're being wasted, because the inner circle definitely served a purpose for sure. But they've been so not in the tag team scene that is a travesty to me.
For a team,
how talented they are.
For a team that was welcomed with open arms when they left Impact as LAX and popped up on, what was it, Double or Nothing? I can't remember the show. It was at All Out. Okay.
So when I was, and they took their masks off, and it was just,
everyone lost their minds.
But we lost it.
I think we've forgotten. I think this whole thing has made us forget how great Santana and Ortiz are as a tag team. I really do.
I honestly do, which is why I would like them to be out of it. And like I said, not to say the inner circle was a waste of time. It wasn't.
No.
It served its purpose, had some great stuff in there. I just think they have been pushed to the side when they don't need to be.
Sure.
They should be in a top prominent position in the tag division for sure.
I'm with you with the off color comments.
Yeah, that just kills it for me.
I think the Paige Van Zandt comment this week with Jericho just it kind of shows to me that Jericho he's not doesn't have a finger on the pulse anymore.
No.
You can tell just by the kind of music that he writes.
I was just gonna say that's all you need to know.
Yeah, pretty much. And so many people defending it by saying, well, he used to do it to Stephanie McMahon, back 20 years ago. Sure. But I think that's even more damning to bring that back up. Well, it happened 20 years ago. Right.
And it's still happening now.
Let's just leave it there, because that's where it belongs. It's a period piece. Just because it happened back then doesn't mean it has to continue here. There were years ago, there was a time where, black people were asked to sit at the back of the bus.
Yeah.
We don't have to bring that back just because it happened once, kind of thing. Anyway, I'm not comparing.
No. I know what you're trying to say, though. And I feel like it's just, for me, it's made this whole thing like bad taste in my mouth. I'm not interested.
Yes. And the thing that I'm conflicted with is that I think Dan Lambert is brilliant at what he does. Because that's the main anchor to me has always been Dan Lambert, who has been, in my opinion, more hits than misses, because he is the old school. He is Jim Cornette. Let's just go right ahead and say it. He is Jim Cornette. Yeah. And the way he reacted when Jericho said, "We're putting you in the match, Dan Lambert," he reacted like the most old school manager would. So no, I never said that. And he's like, he's getting pale and he's losing his shit.
Yep.
It's Jim Cornette saying that he has to fight in a scaffold match, with the Midnight Express. That's exactly it.
It is.
So I dig that. Like, I like that because and that's proper heat. It's good heat, and I like it. And I like I like what Dan Lambert represents here. He's Jim Cornette. He's the AEW haters online. That's what he is. He's their embodiment, and I dig it.
He's playing his role quite well.
Perfectly, if you ask me.
Mm-hmm.
Now, pro wrestling's weird obsession with bringing MMA stars in, I don't understand it. To a degree, I understand why WWE does it, because Vince wants to show Dana White that he can take his stars and do better things with them. You know, kind of like that's a whole other level of pissing contest. But when it comes to AEW, like, I don't get it. Like, I don't know what kind of crossover there is. This is always the question that I have when this kind of stuff happens. I don't know who Junior Dos Santos is. He looks like a badass, but I don't know who he is. I've never seen him fight. I don't know I know who Paige Van Zandt is because she's on that level where she kind of transcends just the sport itself, you know?
She does, yeah.
But other than that, I don't know who these people are. Why do I care?
Exactly.
I don't care if they're coming in. And like you said, I'm worried about this match because these are not pro wrestlers. They're not.
You have to do a lot of covering and a lot of intentional spots to make things flow okay. And I just think it's going to be messy.
I don't think it's going to be that. And here's the last thing that I've been concerned about this for weeks.
Yeah.
And I'm excited to see what's going to happen moving forward, but Scorpio Sky and Ethan Page, they're your talent, right?
Yes.
They're the talent. You have these guys under contract. You're developing them. You want to make them a star or stars, you know? Are they kind of lost in the mix?
Yes.
I kind of feel so too.
I don't like it. If you've ever seen Scorpio Sky do heel work in Wrestle Circus, you would be enthralled with the man. He can do so many things.
He's very versatile.
Very much so. And I feel like they've completely dropped the ball with him. There's a couple things with AEW that I'm like, ugh, come on now. And he's one of them. Sure. I just feel like there's so much potential and they're throwing him in with this. And Ethan too. It's like they have much more to offer than this.
Mm-hmm. This is the thing, is ultimately I don't know what the payoff is.
Yeah, like what's the point?
I'd feel like the payoff would be Paige and Sky getting the shine. That's what they need to do. So if the last image we see is Ethan Page getting a pinfall knockout win over the prone body of Chris Jericho, I'll be like, okay, good.
I'm in for that.
Now let's see what happens moving forward. And honestly, I think the heels have to win here.
They definitely do. And I think this is the impetus for Inner Circle to see ya.
Because this is like, what, the second comeback tour for Inner Circle?
Yes, it is. The second comeback tour, and, you know, Jericho's going to be doing his thing. Sammy has the belt. It just makes sense. It's a good time to end that.
I think so, too. I think there's some guys who need to branch out and some guys who need to take a break. Yeah. Yeah. Just, you know.
Big break.
Absence makes the heart grow fonder, right?
Yeah, definitely.
In the chat we have heels definitely shouldn't win. Okay. Oh, you know, I mean, that's cool, you know, and you know, this is one of these angles that I think is very divisive, you know. I think there's a lot of people who feel very strongly that, hey, all of this has been great. I myself have been middling about it, and to some point I thought everything that happened on Wednesday sucked. Me too. I thought it was like, outside of the questionable content, I just thought it dragged and it was boring. So long. It was boring.
Come on, snooze fest.
I sit around and I watch Dynamite with Kristen, and usually like I'm on the edge of my seat, and then suddenly I turn and I said, man, this thing is dragging. And she sort of says, are you saying an AEW segment is dragging? Is that coming out of your mouth right now? And I'm like, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. People seem to think Inner Circle is going to win, but I'm completely done with this. Let's, I don't think Jake Hager needs more wins.
No, I'm good with that. You can miss me with that. I'm good.
Absolutely. Oh, need to say hello to Kristen Ashley, the first lady of the MrWarrenHayes
Can I tell you?
Yeah.
Bells to bells.
Yes.
Killing it.
Thank you.
Killing it, y'all.
Thank you very much.
So proud of y'all. PWI, amazing.
Well,
just great stuff.
Kristen's a force. She's a force.
She's awesome.
She really works hard. to make all of this happen. So yes, good. Oh, thank you so much. That's very sweet. Very, very sweet of you, Queenie. Next match, we're at the top of the card now. Bryan Danielson taking on Miro, finals of the AEW World Championship Eliminator Tournament. We were probably supposed to get Jon Moxley versus Bryan Danielson.
Probably.
But
you know,
courage and to Mox, all the best vibes. Wrestling is just wrestling. We'll be ready for you when you come back, brother. Come back healthy.
That's right. Health is more important.
Absolutely. But we're getting Miro, the Redeemer, the Forsaken Champion, God's Forsaken Champion. Jesus Christ, how great has this been?
Oh, this has been the best ever.
Right?
His signing with AEW, the minute he walked in that door to now, mwah, it's beautiful.
It's just
that
been
TNT run. Forget it.
And
it was so good.
And let's not forget here, because this is what a lot of people, Adam Cole, he's a goofball. Miro debuted on TNT, on Dynamite, as a gamer, wearing Gucci pajamas. That's right? He was the best man at Kip
Sabian, Penelope's wedding.
And look at what it is now. Amazing. That's rehabilitation. Look, if there's one thing that I think you have to be in bad faith to not be able to recognize is how AEW can rehabilitate stuff when it's not working. And Hangman Adam Page is another example of that.
Yes.
Because after he lost the world title, they were like, what are we even doing with him moving forward?
Beautifully done.
Just flipped it all around. Look, the rehab, the reimagining, repackaging, whatever you want to call it, it just works. It's something that I have a lot of faith in, so I wouldn't even be worried about Adam Cole. Let him enjoy wrestling with his friends. God damn it.
Have a good time. Let him have some fun. He doesn't need to be at the top. He was just at the top for how many years? Jeez.
It's fine.
Let him have a break. Have a good time.
Let him enjoy himself.
Yeah.
Meantime, we've got Miro and Bryan Danielson. You said it a bit at the start, right? This is not the Bryan Danielson. This is not. No, hang on. This is not Daniel Bryan, right?
It's not. No, it's not.
It's not the perennial underdog. Will he be able to overcome the odds? It's like he is the odds. He's
it.
Yeah.
He's it.
Yeah.
He looks so good. It's ridiculous.
And he's what I like about it is that when he came in, he said, I choose violence kind of thing. I want to kick some people's heads in. And you're like, okay, wrestlers doing wrestling talk, that's fine. But he was not kidding.
Oh no, he didn't lie. No lies detected.
That's all he's been doing. He's just been destroying people.
Yes.
And in more ways than one. I like that he doesn't have a finisher per se.
He has many finishers.
He's been finishing people. Sure, the LaBelle lock, right?
Sure.
He who did he knock out just using knees? Was it Kingston? I can't remember.
Wasn't it?
Just
no,
kneeing
he had him in a hold.
Oh yeah,
right? It was before that.
I can't look.
They all run together, Warren, and I don't want to say that in a negative way, but there's so many matches. It's hard.
He just knees the guy over and over to the head.
See ya.
And he's dead. I love it. I love that kind of stuff.
Me too.
So now the big question is, now that we've established, and here's what's wild. This is what's wild, Queen. These are Suzuki. Thank you, Jason PS3.
Oh,
it was Minoru Suzuki. Yes, that he just beat the tar out of him. Like didn't even show him the respect of putting him into a hold to try and put. No, it's like, nah, I'm gonna knock you the fuck.
It was great.
This is a WWE match.
It is.
It's happened once. It doesn't
feel like one.
But it doesn't feel like one because look at where their characters are now.
Yeah.
Everyone's like, this is going to just be the most visceral, angriest match we're going to see. But now we're getting CM Punk and Eddie Kingston. So as far as angry matches go, we might have another one.
True.
How is this one? How does this one play out?
This is tough. This is tough too.
Okay, tell me about it.
I don't want Daniel Bryan to lose.
Mm-hmm.
until it's time for Daniel Bryan to lose.
Okay.
Is that weird?
No. That makes sense.
I feel like he can take a loss. Yes. But I feel like it needs to make sense.
Kind of like CM Punk, right?
Exactly. It needs to make sense. And if he has a time limit draw with Kenny Omega, I'm not taking anything away from Miro, but he should beat Miro.
Mm-hmm.
Because there should be one guy to have that experience with, I feel like. That draw.
Mm-hmm.
And then the rest needs to be victories until it's time.
Sure.
That's just my personal feeling. But I'm not taking anything away from Miro at all. I really love the story. I like the Forsaken Champion angle. I think it's great. I really enjoyed what he's done with his Redeemer character. I love the little quips he makes about Lana. I just think it doesn't get much better than that. The promos are short, but they're so good.
Mm-hmm.
They're full of so many things if you dissect them. I don't want him to lose, but I don't want Daniel Bryan to lose more. So that's kind of where I'm at. So what do you think? Because I need your help. There's a couple matches here, Warren, that I'm like, I don't know what to do.
So if we consider the main event, which we're not going to talk about just yet.
Not just yet, but I'm trying to consider it.
That's the question. Like, who is the best first challenge for the person who wins?
I know.
And both, there's a solid case for both. Because you do have
Very much so.
Miro, who is the beast, right? Mm-hmm. As JR unfortunately let slip out. He called it the Bulgarian brute.
Yeah, whoops.
Whoopsie. But he did, that's his thing, right? He's the beast.
Yes.
Then you have the American Dragon, who is he's the symbol of excellence right now.
Yep.
So if your champion has a challenger, if either of these guys is his first challenger, either or just it's a stamp, right? It's a stamp of trust.
Yes.
It's a stamp of
this is our guy.
This is our guy, and it's not a wishy-washy kind of transitional challenger, you know? It's like likely will end in a victory for the AEW World Champion, but will be an incredible match, and when it's within that story that person will have their stock elevated a little more. Yeah. You know? I know we're talking very cagey.
We are.
Because we're not at the main event yet, but
we're not.
But yeah.
I don't know, but that because it's on one hand, if Daniel Bryan loses to Miro here and Miro becomes the challenger for the title, in a way that would make sense for the person who would win the title to then get a victory over that person and be solidified.
Yes.
If BD wins and goes to challenge the champion, he should take the belt.
Here's something else to consider.
Yeah.
Does Daniel Bryan need a world title? Do we need him in the world title picture? Is that what we even want? You know, people, I think, you know, in my circles,
right? Maybe,
but in my circles right now, everyone wants to see Daniel Bryan versus Daniel Garcia. And I think that's the point of Daniel Bryan right now in AEW is I agree. Have him wrestle awesome people, young people, or whoever, just have him wrestle. And that's the spectacle. That's the draw to Daniel Bryan. It's not necessarily.
I agree.
Bryan Danielson, excuse me. It's not.
It's all good. Same person. It's fine.
It's not. The question isn't. He absolutely has to be in the world title picture for me to be interesting. For him to be interesting. Mm-hmm. I feel like. Look, if you absolutely, and chat, let me know who you think is going to win here. Yes, the Floman's in the chat saying, "Who's Daniel Bryan?"
LOL. yes, we know.
It's all fair. Good. Thank you for roasting it. That's fine.
Yeah.
But if you were to put a gun to my head and say you absolutely have to pick, right?
Yeah.
I think Miro makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Because the redemption stuff, and like this is the path that we were that he's going down. He has to reclaim his glory, and or maybe he keeps going down deeper. I don't know.
It's hard.
It's really difficult
because for me, if you're going to put Daniel Bryan in a title position, it needs to make sense, and he should win. That's how I feel. And it's not time for him right now. I don't think. Storyline wise, I just don't.
So are we both saying Miro? Is that what we're doing? Because I feel it's the unpopular choice.
It's the wildly unpopular choice.
And we're probably overthinking it
We probably are overthinking it.
Probably because we feel it's the unpopular choice.
Probably. I don't, but like at the same time, Warren, like, can I stomach Daniel Bryan losing at this time? I don't know.
Good point. Very good point.
He can't have a draw with him. Oh.
Let's just go. Yeah, look at this guy. Look at that little
guy. Daniel Bryan, formerly known as Daniel Bryan.
FK.
Bryan Danielson.
Look, honestly, I think we're overthinking it.
I'm gonna go Miro.
And I think you're going Miro?
Maybe. If I don't say it, I can be right. Either way.
You're missing the point, though.
I know, I'm sorry.
Look, we've talked about it, and honestly, like you said it yourself. It's like the right choice, the popular choice is probably
Daniel Bryan.
And
Bryan Danielson.
Yeah, I think that's what it is.
Yeah.
I mean, AEW doesn't overthink their booking. There's like who would the crowd cheer more for? Who would make the most happy?
That's true. Maybe because we've been conditioned to like stay away from the nice things because we don't get them often.
Yeah.
Maybe
that's it. That right. Interesting to think what they would have planned if Moxley was still in the picture.
Very
like how much different would the booking be of this match?
I would have loved to see a heel turn.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. Heel Mox versus Hangman? Please.
Does it even matter?
Oh, it doesn't. But I would love to see
Okay. Let's see what
that's a queen wish list.
Oh, sure. And you can absolutely. Let's keep that updated. Let's see. We've got people talking.
Do they think we're overthinking it? Is that what it is?
No, look. Bryan Danielson will redeem the Redeemer, says Carlos. Jason PS3 says if Hangman wins, I think Miro will win.
Yeah, I mean that makes sense, right?
Pete Davies says Miro is credible, dominant heel for Hangman to face first.
I know. See, God dang it.
But Bryan Danielson as the first challenger to Hangman, and Hangman defeating him is a seal of credibility, right? That's
who could screw him?
Who? Tell me.
Kenny Omega.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I'm just saying it writes itself either way.
That's rat face.
Oh.
Pumpkin head. No, I'm kidding.
Uh-oh.
All right, so contentious one, but it's good. Isn't it fun? The opposite is
talk about.
Yeah, exactly.
I love that.
See, I think this one is the opposite of what we just did here. Dr. Britt Baker, DMD, defending the AEW World Women's Championship against Tay Conchi. Delightful woman. Tay is. I had a chance to talk with her. Yes. You can check the interview on Bell to Bell's YouTube channel, youtube.com/BellToBells. She is such a wonderful person, and I will root for her in this match, despite the fact that I know she's losing.
Yeah, I mean, there's not. What's there to say here? Stamp it. DMD. Check.
It's the only women's match on the show, Queen.
I'm hoping the Bryan has another women's match. I'm hoping.
Mm-hmm.
That's a whole other issue for another day, Warren. I could be on a soapbox for a long time.
Sure. Well, yes, and I know our time is stretching out here, but I think it's important to nonetheless point out.
Mm-hmm.
Still, one women's match on the main card.
Hate that.
It's kind of annoying,
Yep.
Especially since I feel like recently AEW's been doing very good with its women's division, creating little sub feuds, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Of course, we all, Deeb and Sheeta has just been, that's been brilliant in and about itself. You've had the whole thing with Anna Jay, the Bunny, Penelope Ford, and Ty,
very good,
which has been entertaining as well.
Red Velvet and Jade.
Red Velvet and Jade. You know what's cool about Red Velvet and Jade? Because now they're going to be meeting in the TBS tournament. They have history to draw into.
They have some story to talk about.
And isn't that badass? Isn't that all that really we wanted?
Yes.
And you still have the overlying, everyone's like Thunder Rosa Britt. You feel like that one's still open, of course.
Oh, it's coming.
But man, I'm excited for an AEW pay-per-view. And on the main card, it will have 2 women's matches. At least, right?
Someday.
Because the other company does it.
They do. They do. And that was my biggest gripe about this whole top team thing and how much time that they've taken up. You could have put on longer women's matches.
Good point.
You didn't have to go picture in picture for the women's match that came after that segment. You could have taken some of that away, made it shorter and a little less drawn out, and given more time to your women. And there's so many things to gripe about with that, but someday they'll have 2 women's matches, and I'm hoping we don't have to wait too much longer because it's been a long time.
Yeah. Yes. I think we've been patient. We've been more than patient at this point.
We've been more than patient and more than gracious with time.
And some of us not quite as gracious.
Silly. Well, some of us not quite as gracious, but you know what? You have to be loud about it.
Yeah, you do. You really do.
Because that's the only way you're going to affect change. You have to be loud.
I agree. So, look, we're in agreement. Baker's retaining. I mean, that's not even I don't think it's a consideration. And it's not a knock. It's not a knock against Conti.
No, not at all. It's just there's no question that she's retaining her belt right now. Yeah.
Main event. It's happening. Kenny Omega, AEW World Champion, defending against Hangman Page. This one has been more than a year in the making.
Yep.
Full Gear 2020 had Kenny Omega pinning Hangman Page to win the Eliminator Tournament, if I'm not mistaken.
Correct.
And look at where we are today.
Full circle.
The full circle has happened. When I was booking all of this, when Kenny had all the belts and so on, I was like, hey, drag this to Revolution. Are you kidding me?
Oh yeah, keep it going.
Keep it going. I loved, people were like, when Paige couldn't secure, the match on Dynamite, a couple of months ago, we're like, they're dropping the ball with Adam Page.
No, they're not.
He'll never be over when he comes back because of CM Punk. Have you heard those reactions? Jesus.
Come on now.
What's happening here? What do we have? What's the outcome here?
And new,
right?
I think it's time.
It feels right.
It feels right. Now, there was a part of me that would have loved the full circle moment at Double or Nothing for him to win there. But I think that's too far in the future. And I think that the way that the landscape has changed and things have played out much differently, and Kenny's character has really just gone as far as it can go.
I think so.
This whole, whatever you want to call it, heelness.
Sure.
Cleaner like 2.0, because he's just on another level, but it's different than he was before. But I think it makes sense. I think it's time, and it's the moment of Adam Page. We briefly touched on this before when you brought up, him losing at All Out. What are we going to do with him?
Yeah, exactly.
And they've built that story so beautifully. All of his drama with the Elite, tagging with Kenny. That match with him and Kenny versus the Young Bucks was some of the best wrestling bell to bell I've ever seen.
One of the greatest tag matches ever.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
If you love tag team wrestling, that has to be in your top 5.
And it really does.
So it's just, so good. And then him falling away from them and moving into his own lane, and the stuff with the Dark Order, and when he was with Brody Lee and said, I'm not ready to join a cult right now, and that whole thing, and how special that was with them, and now his relationship with Dark Order now, and just to kind of see everything that's happened and the reception he receives every time he comes through the tube or the curtain, as you will,
whatever you want to call it.
It's
people
magical.
love him.
People love him, and it's time now to have that run of cowboy shit. It's time.
And I think,
no offense to Kenny, because he's my favorite ever,
but still,
yeah.
The promo he cut a couple of weeks ago, when he after he made his comeback, that one where he talks about family being cowboy shit and all that stuff. Yes. That's when I realized that, he's the demo, right? He is this infamous ratings demo that everyone likes to argue about, but that's it. Like, I'm close to 50, right? So what he's talking about isn't necessarily, doesn't immediately relate to me, right? But then you think back, hitting the bottle, searching for direction, not sure where he fits in. These are all very, and I don't mean to say this condescendingly, but very millennial concerns, right?
Sure.
And I think he's one of the reasons why it resonates so much with people in that age bracket, and that's why I think they're tuning in, because instead of seeing people say the same old, I'm going to beat you in the ring, and in situations that don't necessarily speak to their generation or their sensibilities, he's in there just being a guy who's anxious. He was looking for his spot, didn't know where to fit in. Like, his friends he thought he had friends, but his friends are all going off, having all this success, and he's like, this might not be what I want. I don't want to wear $1,500 shoes and shit like that. Like, that's,
that's not him.
No. And I think that is an echo that does speak to people.
It does.
So
it's relatable.
Yes. And I think that's what, and I think that if it doesn't relate, I think that if it doesn't relate to certain people is because, well, you're not literally in that age bracket.
Sure.
But I think he's the representation of the audience that AEW wants and is getting on top of that.
Agreed. Yeah.
But on top of all of that, he's a fantastic wrestler, and he's charismatic as fuck, and he's super entertaining, and he's great to watch. And, I think it is, like, it feels like it's time. It would just feel right. I wouldn't be mad if they wanted to stretch it out a little bit. No. Might be weird.
A little smidge. Little strange. I'm really hoping that they don't have any funny business. I kind of hope it's straight just them two.
If there's any funny business, you're going to have John Silver run in and just cannonball everyone out of their shorts. You're going to have Colt Cabana doing the elbows. You're going to have Stu Grayson flying off of shit, which can culminate to a fun moment. Because the Dark Order's going to have his back here.
100%. But I hope it's minimal.
I agree.
I really want to see them just...
Oh.
Who's the better man?
It won't be a Cody Rhodes match.
Well, that's what
For
I
sure.
don't want.
Yeah.
I don't want that.
For sure.
I don't want any more of that, actually, ever. It would be great.
But chat seems to agree with us. It's Hangman's time.
It's time, right?
Hangman wins or we riot. It feels like it's right. It feels like this is how it should happen. We're closing out the year, starting off, we start January will be here sooner than later. Sure. And then on top of that, we'll either have Daniel Bryan or Miro. Bryan Danielson or Miro. As a challenger, right? And again, like we said, a little cagely because
we were waiting.
We were waiting. Miro is like, he's the beast, right? He's like a final boss type character.
Yes.
Daniel Bryan is a seal of approval. He's a seal of
What's that?
Credibility.
Big stamp.
Yeah.
That would be a big win for Paige.
Either way, yeah. Oh, and if there is Paige Danielson and Paige wins, because I think he should,
I would hope that they wouldn't pull it off him too soon, yeah.
And Daniel Bryan, he had said previously, right, before leaving WWE, he said, all I want is to leave the business in a better spot than when I came in.
Yeah.
So he's a guy who's keen to the people here, and if the company's like, this is the guy we're throwing behind, and he's like, all right, cool,
I'll be there.
I'll be there, and I'll do my part. He's no dummy.
No, he's definitely not.
AEW Full Gear happening is it 13th the day? The 13th?
It is the 13th.
Next Saturday. What do you think overall? Good show? Great show?
It'll be great.
I think so too.
I think it's going to be one of their,
it's going to be one of their
pay-per-views
standouts.
are great. I think it's just going to be a standout just because things will change in some ways.
Yeah.
And I think it'll make a big mark as we move towards closing 2021 and opening 2022.
Speaking of big marks, I want to thank you to have come on this Big Marks show. I appreciate it. Thank you so much, Queen. Before we wrap things up, I want you to let everyone know where they can find you and what you're up to, your socials, all that stuff. It's plug time.
Oh, boy. Well, firstly, thank you so much for asking me to come on. Such a pleasure talking with you always, anytime. So I appreciate it. You guys can follow me on Twitter at the Queen of Any. I have nothing going on, so you should follow Warren and everything. He's the absolute best ever. You should also follow my friend Big Paws on that Pup JPQ because he's the best, as well as Bells to Bells because y'all are killing it and doing some of God's work for some ladies out there. So I love that, and I don't really have any. I'm not really potting anymore. I'm just trying to guest.
Get some guest spots.
Yeah. Because I love to talk about wrestling. I just, the baby is taking up so much of my time, which is great. Being a mom is awesome, but it leaves little time for me to do my own stuff.
This is part of the conspiracy to bring you back, right? What we did here today.
Oh, was this?
Yes. In our backroom DMs. This is how we get Queen back.
We get her back?
Yes. Slowly. One appearance at a time.
Yeah. Yeah, I think once I'm out of the, still a newborn mindset,
sure, of course.
Next year might be a little bit better in terms of that, but she's priority numero uno.
Of course,
and like Mr. Queen, I guess.
I get the other guy, who sort of had a hand in making all this happen. But yeah, no, family's important, and do take the time. They're wonderful years. You have to take, you absolutely have to take all the time in the world for them. So good on you. We'll be around. We'll be here. We'll just wait for you, and we'll welcome you back with open arms. But I'm really glad. I'm really, really glad you joined me today, Queenie. Thank you so much.
Thank you, buddy.
No, thank you. And thank you, everyone, as well, for joining us live today. If you liked the entire thing, give the video a thumbs up. That's always cool. If you're watching this on demand as well, that's also cool. You can drop a like there as well, or a review if you're listening to this on your favorite podcast application. Hey, that also helps out quite a bit. I didn't cue the music. I am a dork. There we go. Where's the music? Is it not working? Come on, man.
It's all good. We had a few snaps.
Hey, it is what it is. Thank you all very much for joining us today. Have a great rest of your weekend, and we'll see you next time.